In today's video, I want to talk about how you can have a successful first interview. A lot of people, they think the first interview is really all about competence, okay? Will they think that I have the skills and the knowledge to be able to do this position? What they don't understand is that it was your resume and it was the phone screen that really validated your competence. Otherwise, they would not be wasting time with you. Sure, there may be some questions that will still try to validate your competence, but for the most part, it now becomes more about compatibility and likability than it does about competence. And I think any hiring managers out there that are watching this video can agree with me on this one point, and that is if you've interviewed someone who was maybe 110% competent for that position, and you interviewed someone who was maybe 80% competent for that position, but for whatever reason, you just clicked better with that person that was maybe 80% competent. Who did you often go with? Yeah, that person that was 80%, because it's more about compatibility and likability than it is about competence at this level, because you don't want any problems on your team, right? You don't want that individual to be causing any problems with you or anything that you're going to have to go to your boss on. So how do you become more compatible, more likable for that hiring manager? Well, I have a mantra for you, which has 4 tips in it, 4 elements. The first one is I want you to breathe this into yourself, and that is, I am a professional. This is what you need to go in as. I am a professional. This is what I want that perception to be. Now, what does that mean? Well, number one, it means making sure that you arrive on time for the interview, or about 5 minutes early. It means making sure that you're dressed appropriately. It means making sure that you're prepared for the interview, that you know what that job is about, you know what that company is about. And if at all possible, check out on LinkedIn who this hiring manager is all about. You know, you recently had a client, and he was a hiring manager. He was a sales manager, and he said whenever he would interview someone, he expected that person, by the time he or she came into the interview, would know as much about him as possible. And there was a lot of ways to do that by going to their website or to his LinkedIn profile, but he wanted them to know, about more about him. So something, that I want you to understand is that you need to be a professional going into this. The second element is you will have no problems. Now, I understand everybody has problems. Okay, we all have problems, but we also know people who have had problems every other day. It seemed like, it's like one day is the dog died, the next day the child was expelled from school, the next day the car broke down, the next day the refrigerator stopped. It just goes on and on and on. You don't want to talk about any kind of problems as you're going into the interview, okay? In fact, use words like team collaboration and stuff when you're giving examples of things. Use words like collaboration will show that you're actually, someone that will support that team. You do not want to have any problems out there. If you're going into the interview and it's raining cats and dogs out there, raining like crazy, and the hiring manager says, John, hey, thanks for coming in. I know it's brutal weather out there. How was the drive in? Hey, Bill, it was absolutely no problem at all. Thanks for having me. You don't want to have any problems. You don't want to show those. The third element, part of the mantra, you create no problems. Now, as a hiring manager, this one was big for me. In fact, I terminated several individuals over my career because they just seemed to keep creating problems, right? And this one, I think for some people out there, and I really hope it's not you, but for some people out there, they have no self-awareness whatsoever of the problems that they are creating. And if you have any history of being what I would say counseled on, of creating problems out there, and you just don't know where that came from, or maybe you just disagree with it, then I would take some steps to really try to increase your self-awareness. When I did my master's in leadership, our very first leadership class was on emotional intelligence. We were all required to read Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence. And that's a great book that will really dig into, understanding your self-awareness. Now, the fourth one is I'm going to solve all of your problems. Now, again, no one can solve all of my problems. I understand that. But I tell you, if you walk in with giving me that perception that you're there to solve all of my problems, that's going to win me. That's going to win me over. So I'm a professional. I have no problems. I create no problems. And I'm going to solve all of your problems.